Good morning, Banana Maters. Today we're going to be talking about circles again. So here I've created a magic portal to a realm of mystery and magic. And it's just circles spinning around. This cloudy thing is just an animated cycle. You can just rotate things around like this, but I felt like drawing a bunch of dots. Why did I do this? Who knows? All right, so again, I'm going to start with the obvious thing. If you build your portal with the center right in the center of your field guide, then your pivot point is going to be correct from the get-go, and you can animate it without any wobble. This thing wobbles a little bit, but this circle, it does not wobble as it rotates. It's rotating, but you can't tell because it rotates perfectly around the center. And if you're building things from the center, the easiest thing to do is hide this. You start at the center like this, you hold Alt and Shift, and you pull out, and now the center of your circle's at the center. Once you have your circle rotating from the center, anything you rotate from the center will fit inside that circle and rotate well. So I create a little windmill. It rotates around in the center of our circle. Hooray. Then our boss says, I don't like this. I want you to just change what the inside of the circle looks like. So because we've centered everything from the very first time we've made it, we can just grab any old thing we've made. I have some tentacles handy, and now I can rotate those from the center, and I just take the old one out and I drop it in, or I could double it up. Now there's tentacles happening on top of the thing, and it's centered rotation, so we just slap it in there. Works fantastic. They still don't like it. They want something else. Happens all the time. You're gonna grab something else you have rotated from the center. You're gonna throw that in. For some reason, the cycle stopped right in the middle. But because we've always centered it, it's going to be able to just be slapped into any scene. And you're like, well, this isn't very exciting, but the thing is, if in your scene you have your thing set up, your whole thing has been moved into perspective like this, and then you need to replace it, and the character animators have moved it, they've animated this getting bigger and smaller, doing whatever it needs to, being able to slap in a replacement for whatever you've done is hugely helpful. And this feels very flat. Right? Especially this thing. If we just get rid of this thing, it will still look flat, but that thing's super making it flat. But what we can do with different layers is we can bring some back, and then we have a couple of layers going into our portal. We can take our star, make it bigger than the portal, pull it back as well, and now it gives it a little bit of an illusion of depth. We can also go into our node library, grab something like a mesh warp, and we can put it into our thing. And because it's on this peg is where our squish happens. If I put it above that peg, it's not going to have the squish. If I put it down below, it's going to have the squish. We can just bring our center back like this and give it a curve. So now whatever we put in under that curve is going to give us a little bit of a shallow, it looks more like a lens because we've given it that shallow bowl effect, but we didn't animate it that way. We don't have to try and figure out how to do the perspective on this stuff. We just lie, keeping everything at a central rotation. Slapping this stuff in later is just so much easier. And let me just talk about this starburst thing. This is also full of lies. I've only animated this much of it going like that, because there's no reason to do all of them separately. And then I took that, I offset the cycle, and I rotated it a bunch of times. So at some point, one of my cycles, my cycles are ending a little bit early because I've shifted the keys back, but you can loop them infinitely. Let me take off this animation, take off the mesh warp, and just look at these. Okay, so it's just one thing duplicated a whole bunch of different times. And the way that I've done cycles before, I just start at the point where it's meeting at the center of this circle, and I've used the reposition all drawings in each of them to rotate them like this. So it's actually on the drawing, it's not animated. You can just animate them, interpolate it. That's fine as well. It's just the animators can reset the animation if it's on the pegs. So putting it on the drawing is a good thing there. So it's like a little fire sort of thing, just duplicated and rotated a bunch of times. But hopefully you can see by using this, you can get a very versatile, complex thing made out of simple pieces that are easily replaced. And this is huge when you're doing fast-paced stuff like television, because the directors want things changed just arbitrarily, just based on their feelings, which is what a director's job is to change everything, I guess. So you want to be able to take anything that they throw at you, and it can't be a catastrophe. It has to be something that you can do with relative ease and sometimes on a quick turnaround. So building in pieces, building flat to the camera, always starting at the center of your field guide. These things are going to save your life when the director decides to change things in the 5th round of retakes and you need to slap it into a bunch of scenes that's already been animated. You can just sneak it in. All the animation's going to work perfectly and your stuff's going to look amazing. That's it. Tag me if you make a portal. I love portals. Tag me if you make a portal.